Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined once again. Specifically, we're going to be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined and why that is. For early information before shock drops like the one we saw for these, Endurance always has your back. In fact, there's a huge drop coming in a couple of weeks, so stay alert. As always, I will be posting all of the precise information, including the time and drop method in Endurance, which you could join with the link below. And we have free sneaker guides on that same link and a method to get free Chick-fil-A meals too, so why not check it out? For those who don't know, the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined releases on February 17th, tomorrow. However, there already was a shock drop for them which consisted of under 40,000 men's pairs being released, all of which are already in circulation now, which is why prices are so low. This is important to keep in mind for what we're about to talk about later. We made a video discussing whether you should sell or hold those shock drop pairs, and the main takeaway is that it depends on when you receive your shipment, because they would of course drop in value over the week towards the full drop, which is on the 17th, but something will happen after that drop on the 17th, which we'll explain soon. Retail is $215 for men's sizes, those of which we'll be focusing on today, although grade school pairs should react proportionally. In order to determine if the Jordan 4 Bred Reimagined will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range, what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when the shipments come in, essentially the pairs go into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even continue to decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding? Not the retail to resale initial margin, but rather the hold margin over X period of time. Basically, even if these do go up, are they going to be worth your time? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. To begin with, stock for these is above average for a Jordan 4 at under 200,000 pairs. As for demand, it is also significantly above average. This is one of the most sought after colorways for Jordan 4, and it appears people don't really mind the reimagined aspect, which is the leather, rather than the nubuck that we saw on the 2019 pair. In fact, some have even demonstrated preference for the leather considering it's more durable and easier to clean. At the moment, the day before the drop, the current average is $263 for sizes 8 to 12. This still leaves room for some lunch money with a poor margin currently, but if you can sell these locally and avoid platform fees, you can make much more. I'd really encourage you guys to try finding local buyers through avenues like Instagram and Facebook groups. This will definitely be one of the easiest local sellers that we've seen in a while, since the DMP 11s at least. Bigger sizes, 11 and above, will do best of course. We normally see a notable change in price post-US drop. This is when we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss this very frequently, yet it almost always still occurs to some degree. Regarding the impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 5 to 10% increase of the pre-drop prices post-drop. When it comes to these, I think it is very probable that we do see a positive impulsivity effect, potentially as much as 10%. A lot of stock is in circulation from the shock drop, driving prices down before the drop, potentially making them slightly oversold. In addition to this just being one of the most highly demanded Jordan 4s we've seen in a while, along with the fact that many Jordan 4s in general tend to see a 5% increase post-drop anyway. This would hypothetically leave prices at $289 on average, meaning that some large sizes could be almost $300, with some smaller ones near the $270 range. Now, let's discuss what prices will look like once these shipments go out in the 1 to 2 week range. During this period, the overwhelming majority of pairs will now finally be in circulation. Despite this temporary increase, as usual, I would still expect the usual 10% decrease in value post-drop as all the pairs go into circulation. This could potentially bring the average price right back down to a trough of $260, below what we see right now. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment prices or even hypothetically decrease. In general, Jordan 4s tend to be pretty reliable holds. Not to mention, this is one of the most demanded Jordan 4 colorways of all time, and being leather, they should age quite well too. Not to mention, unlike many Jordan 4s we have seen in the past, these wouldn't be starting at too high of a value. $260 to $280 is relatively low for a highly demanded Jordan 4. It seems to me there's a lot of room for these to run in the future. Even looking at the 2019 Jordan 4 Bred, those seem to appreciate very well over the years. Of course, some macro factors were at play during 2020 to 22, but the amount of appreciation is still very notable. Not every single Jordan 4 had this much of an increase. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially, are they going to be worth your time even if they do eventually increase? Well, with these starting around $260 to $280, depending on when you get your pair in size, this still leaves a lot of room for a solid ROI. Long term, I'm extremely optimistic for these. Hypothetically, if these were to increase to $350, that would already be close to a 30% ROI. And if they increase to $400, still less than the 2019 pair did in a year, that would be a 50% ROI. While I would have lower expectations for these given the new macro environment, I am quite optimistic overall. Hence, I would rate these above average, far above average, at 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the highest rated holds that we have discussed on this channel. Personally, I will be holding my pairs, aside from the personal pair for the toe of course, because these are absolutely essential for the collection. Also, just a note in general, for anyone considering holding any items, if you do happen to have low capital, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you need money to go for all drops, try to sell these as soon as possible. Let me know what you guys are doing with your pairs in the comments below. Since this is a discussion, at the end of the day, I can't predict the future. That's just my personal analysis based on the data that I've acknowledged. We have a lot of brilliant minds watching now, so I'd really love to hear your notions down below. Also, be sure to check out Endurance with the link in the description below if you're looking for a profitable side hustle that goes far beyond just sneaker reselling, or if you want early info for some of the upcoming shock drops. Remember, we also have free sneaker guides and Chick-fil-A on the same link, so why not check it out? With that, have a fantastic rest of your day. Congrats if you copped, or good luck if you're watching this before the final drops.